It's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen and amen. This is also the time we're going to dismiss our kids to their own time of worship. So kids, you guys can head on out the back. Let's give it up for our kids and tell them how much we believe in them, appreciate them, love them. Amen. Y'all, it's going to be crazy in here in a few weeks. You know that, right? It's going to be crazy in here in a few weeks. I'm so excited for a little space here before all the people of the world descend back on campus. I'm so excited we get to have this little bit of time to prepare our hearts. I'm thankful I get some time to prepare my heart, get back into it a little bit before things go absolutely crazy and across our campus and around our city. And so as I started thinking about that and thinking about what would be most helpful for our church to prepare ourselves for a season of busy, right? And a season of running hard in ministry and in life. And man, like my kids got, flag football tryouts and all this stuff's happening. Rose is starting a new gymnastics thing. Like it's starting to happen, Like, so in that season of all that's coming, so what will be most helpful for us to prepare our hearts and our minds? And also, I want to get to share some of my heart of where what I was walking through and what I was thinking about and praying through during my time away on sabbatical, and just a time of refreshing and renewal and just like drawing near the Lord. I wanted to have some ways to be able to share some of that too without just standing up here and talking about myself for 45 minutes, because none of you want to do that, right? You don't want to be here in 45 minutes total, right? And so where I landed was the Psalms. Because that's my favorite book of the Bible. Like you may love Psalms, like you may spend a lot of time there. Some of you may not spend any time at all with Psalms. This past week, talked with some folks, and people are like, man, I never spend time in Psalms. I'm like a James guy. Like I want to get after it and know the steps, I'm a Psalms guy. That's where I like to be. Because in my highest highs and my lowest lows, I find biblical writers like putting words to the things that I'm feeling, the things that I'm walking through, the things that I'm wrestling with. And the fact that somebody else was wrestling with that and it ended up in God's word almost like gives me some freedom to feel those things, to feel those high highs, to feel those low lows, and see the way that God intersects those spaces with me. And so this next 4 weeks, that's where I want us to be. I want us to think about the fact that we have really high highs. And we're going to spend some time looking at some Psalms where we're going to see like this voice of excitement and glory in God's word as a response to that, right? We're also going to see some really frustrated, anxious, and depressed psalmists venting and talking about like, this is hard. Like, what are we doing here? And God, what are you doing in this? We're going to see that resonates. We're going to have passages that are going to give some voice to our worship. Some of the times that we're reading some of these things, you're going to hear echoes of a lot of the songs that we sing, because the songs that we sing are they're just rephrasing of Psalms. As I read these writers wrestling with God and worshiping God and crying out to the Lord, like you get to hear that, and it gives voice to you, but you also get to normally see the way that God steps into those spaces. So some of you came in at a high. Like you're pumped, you're excited, just like Vin was talking about. You're so excited to be here, like you're ready to go, right? We're going to see some things that are probably going to resonate with you, stir your heart, and like to compel you forward. Some of you came in some low lows, questioning whether this God can actually be trusted at all, or even with this next thing. Some of us have this undercurrent of wondering if God can be trusted, and we kind of operate, we would say, like we would verbalize that, yeah, God can be trusted, and all these things, but like practically it comes down to it, we're doing it ourselves. We're trusting ourselves. All those things are going to be found in these few verses that we're going to look at today. So I spent, I think Tuesday, I went through the whole book of Psalms, and I was just like prayerfully flipping, through one of my journal Bibles, and I'm looking at the ones that were most impactful to me, and it was hard, but I picked 4 Psalms for us to study together over the next 4 weeks, all right? Doesn't mean they're the best Psalms ever. I just kind of picked some of my favorites, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of how that went. We've got them in different areas. And some are thankful, some are about wisdom, some are laments, and there's just this heartbreak inside of those. And so there's a nice, kind of even board there to play with, all right? So this morning, we're going to step into this. We're going to step into Psalm 121. So if you have a copy of God's Word, I'd love for you to go find Psalm 121, and we'll be looking at that together and breaking that thing apart. And so if you're new to Oaks, the way we preach through God's Word, the way I preach through God's Word is just kind of walking down and just helping us figure out what God's word is saying to us. I don't care that you have my thoughts about life or how to, whatever. Like, I just want to know this book deeply. And so we're going to take this apart, verse by verse, as we go down through it, okay? I want to read the whole thing together, and then we're going to jump in, okay? Psalm 121. It says that it is a song of ascent. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. It says this, it says, I lift my eyes up to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord's your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He'll keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Now, if you're listening, you're paying attention, like I'm just reading that, the Spirit stirred your soul a little bit, right? If you're paying attention to that and you're like sitting there resting in that, like I mean, every time I just read those words, no matter how I come to it, the Spirit just stirs my soul just a little bit. It's powerful. Before we jump into it, and I'll explain all this stuff. Like it says the Psalm of Ascent, right? There's 15 psalms that say that at the top, that they're the Psalms of Ascent. It's 120 to 134, all right? And these, some of them are authored, some of them aren't. But what they are, they became songs that were sung by travelers, those who were traveling up to Jerusalem, up to the temple to come to worship. Now, Jerusalem is on a plain up on a hill, all right? It's this mountain ridge that comes all the way through all of Israel, right? And all these people from the surrounding areas had to literally walk up the hill to Jerusalem to go and worship. And so when they're singing these songs, a lot of them talk about this ascent. Some of them talk about like physical, some of it's a spiritual ascent, and it really doesn't matter. All these psalms, they speak to both the physical ascent to Jerusalem, but more importantly than that, the spiritual ascent to the Lord, trying to draw near to the Lord, how to get to him, right? And it speaks to all of us on this path of life, and there's a lot of ascent, there's a lot of uphill to life sometimes. Each of these 4 sections of this psalm, they all are trying to answer the same question. 121, the question that's trying to answer as you're on this journey of life, as you're trying to draw near the Lord, figure out where he's at, like you're trying to get up that uphill thing that you're going on, the question that's wrestling with is, can God really be trusted? Can God really be trusted? Now, we're all friends in here, right? Every one of us have wrestled with that question. Some of you wrestled with that question this morning. Some of you have been wrestling with that in like a just deep and like heartfelt way. Some of you are Christians already, and yeah, you know that God can be trusted, but you're up against some stuff right now that you're not sure how he's possibly going to come through. And that knee-jerk reaction in you is to start to take it all on yourself. And I know he's trustworthy, but right, I'm here, okay? And so I'm going to pick this up myself. Those of you in the room who aren't Christians yet, that's one of the foundational issues that's on your heart. Like assuming this God is there, what's he like? Could he actually be trusted? Because if not, I want to know with him. It's one of the foundational questions you have to answer and figure out. Can God be trusted before you're ever willing to draw near to him in faith? So Psalm 121, it's written by someone, I think it's David, written by somebody wrestling with that one question, can God be trusted? And then what we're going to see, they're being reminded of what's true. So look at verse 1 with me again. It says this, it says, I lift my eyes up to the hills. So just imagine being in the valley, right? You're in the valley. It's this desert, arid region. Like it's not pretty. All right, like it's just rocky desert. You're looking up the thing. I lift my eyes up to the hills in the direction that you're going. From where does my help come? Just imagine like walking the Jericho road. Like it's a long way downhill, and it's a long way, and it's hot, and it's dusty, and the wind blows, and the sand stings. It's not like fun, okay? And you're walking up the hill to Jerusalem, and it's just up and up and up and up forever. And you get to that point where you're like, Lord, help me. You know, that's kind of how this goes. My family and I, we went to Washington State a couple of weeks ago, kind of into the sabbatical season up there, and I'd never been over there. Like, I just haven't. And so we took the kids, and I planned this whole thing. We're going to go on all these hikes. We're going to do 2 national parks. We're going to go to Mount Rainier. We're going to go to Olympic. We're going to do 2 different parts of Olympic. And I picked it because, like, the weather's nice. It's like 60 degrees in the summer, which, okay, that sounds great. I don't know why we live here. But anyway, it's 60 degrees in the summer over there. And the hikes were short. And I got an 11-year-old and 9-year-old. They're fine. But Rose is 6, 6. And, I'm like, I'm going to pick some short hikes that Rose can do. We can see some stuff or whatever. The hikes are short because they're straight up. They're just vertical, all right? So when it says it's 3 miles, it's like get a ladder, climb 1.5 miles, all right? See you at the top. And so we're trying to do some of these things, and people got blisters on their feet and everything, and I just dramatically overplanned it. But we had this one hike we tried to do to get up this like fancy ridge, the Kalan Ridge or whatever, terrifying. We didn't have the right shoes for it. We come back down. But we climbed probably almost 1,000 feet of elevation in like a mile with a 6-year-old, right? Came back down, and then we're like, you know what? Let's try a different one right after that. So we drove them down the street. We got on a different hike. It was going to something called Hurricane Hill. It's great, great idea, Sounds chill, not. And so it's 1.5 miles. It's paved, which is nice. Uphill. It's 1,000 feet of elevation and about 1.5 miles. And there's no trees. There's no shade. And there's 6-year-olds, And I'm like halfway up this thing, and all of us are like, Lord, help us. What are we doing? And we're trying to encourage the kids, like, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. Just keep come on, 1 foot in front of the other. You take your water breaks and stuff. But that's where I'm looking at the top of this hill. You can see it coming, and it's way on over there. And like, oh my goodness, what have we gotten ourselves into? In the middle of the climb, you're looking up thinking, Lord, help me. Have you ever been in a season like that? Just seems like one long climb. Trying to keep 1 foot in front of the other. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. I'm strong. I can do it. Struggling to keep going. Seems like you're on your own, wondering where in the world help could come from. It just seems like you're by yourself out there, right? I've been there. I've been in seasons where I'm tired, seasons where I'm exhausted, seasons where I feel overwhelmed. Some of those seasons have been at Oaks. The church is growing rapidly, and we have a really small staff, it's me and Austin. A bunch of volunteers, and we're just trying to hold it together, trying to steward well, but it's a lot. And so you get to these seasons where it just feels like, okay, we got to go. Find seasons in myself where I'm trying to do my best, and keep going, keep marching on, digging deep, trying to find a little something extra there to keep pressing forward. You've had seasons like that too, right? Lift your eyes up to the hill. Seems like you're on your own. Lord, where in the world is the help going to come from? Is it when you're in seasons like that, do you find yourself trying to look for strength in you? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're the kind of person that leans on the people around you. You kind of get some people around you, if they'll encourage and they'll support. And is that where real help comes from? And the magnitude of the stuff that me and you face is real, like, viable help going to come from us? Because I let myself down a lot. And I think you do too. I let myself down a lot. The people around me let me down a lot. A lot of people wonder if David is the author of this psalm. You can't really know for sure, but you can imagine King David like in a battle, like looking up to the hills, hoping that reinforcements have come across the hillside, hoping the shadows of another army, like of the assisting army is going to come. Like, it's coming. Help's going to come over the hill. Any minute now, somebody's going to come and help me, right? And nobody comes. You felt that. When you're looking to the hills, it doesn't look like anybody's coming. You're just on your own, and you've got to find strength in you to handle it. What do you look to in those seasons of struggle? Way too often in my season of struggle, I look to myself. Maybe you look to those around you. It's just easy to do that, but that is not where our help comes from. Look at verse 2. It says, my help, he reminds himself, my help comes from the Lord. And not just any guy, like, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. It starts with this question. It starts with this struggle. It starts with some doubt, right? And then immediately there's this reminder that the help doesn't come from me. It comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Like the Lord who comes to our rescue, the Lord that supports us and sustains us, the one who can answer prayer, the one who hears prayer, the one who loves perfectly, like the Lord who is capable of speaking heaven and earth is the one who engages with you. And then you put your strength and your power and the support of your community. You put all that together, and it like doesn't compare to the one from whom our help actually comes from. When I come to this psalm, like exhausted and overwhelmed, immediately it causes you to remember. It causes me to remember. Like, wait a minute, I don't have to carry all this, right? Hang on, like I'm not the one to be responsible for. Yeah, I'm called to work. I'm called to do the things I'm called to do. But the ultimate trajectory of all this, like, I can't do anything about that. I'm going to be faithful with this moment right here. Christians in the room, like, I just want to call you to remember. Like, remember, like, I know you have needs. I know you need help and all these different things. So do I. But the source of that help is not in you. It's not in the people around you. It's not in a politician. It's not in a physician. It's in one much higher than those. The one who gives you strength. The one who gives wisdom to those around you. The one who works through those people around you, right? There's one that supersedes all of that, who is capable of sustaining heaven and earth. It says the universe is upholded by the word of his breath, even now. Like the breath you're taking is being sustained by him right now. Now listen, if you're not a Christian yet, this is the key difference between Christians and not Christians. This is this key idea that we can step back and remember, okay, it's not all on me. When you're not a Christian yet, it's still on you. You are the highest power that you have to trust in. And you know how incapable you are of changing much anything. And that produces a lot of fear and it produces a lot of anxiety because, like, at the end of the day, you know that it is kind of all on you. There is no other help. It's just you. And that's exhausting. That's breaking. That's a fearful place to be. When you realize you don't have anything or anybody else to really trust in, that's better than, like, the little strength you have. And I know the world tells you that if you could just find this inner strength in you and you just dig deep enough, you're going to find something in you that is glorious enough to sustain you. And I'm just going to tell you, it ain't there, man. Like, I've dug real deep, and all I find is the end of myself. I'm thankful that I found one who is higher, one who is loving, one who is gracious, one who wants to draw near, one who can sustain, one who can be trusted. In verse 3 and 4, the author starts giving us reasons God can be trusted. Verse 3, he says this. He says, he won't let your foot be moved. Think about being up on that Kalon Ridge. It's all dusty and slippery and like you're in flip-flops, okay? Like, you're on that path. It's uphill. It's a struggle. He says he will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The first part is like brings to mind this idea of a path, like a path that leads to life. There's a path that leads to death, and the author right here is confident that God is going to keep them sure-footed on this path to life. Without him, you're the one who's trying to keep your sure footing on a path to life. And I'm just saying, like, we're not able to do that. Sin creeps into my life, sin creeps into your life. My foot slips daily, almost consistently. Like there's this pattern of sin in my life, which means my feet are sliding out from under me. I need somebody better to keep my feet secure on the path to life. It's not something I can do on my own. It's not something you can do on your own. You ever feel like you got to watch your own back? Some of you are in here I had a friend who was a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. He's like one of those people. He's a real scary dude. His nickname is Shady, which he's a shady dude. He's like 60. We're doing a mission trip to Haiti, and he's like, I probably should go on that mission trip. I'm like, why? He's like, last time I went, we kind of invaded. Want to do another round. I'm going to kind of make that right. You know, he's that kind of guy, right? And he said there's two kind of people in the world. There's sheep and sheepdogs. Right? There's some people who are just kind of oblivious to everything. They're just happy to be there, whatever. Others of us are the sheepdog kind of people that you think you're going to watch out for everybody else around you. Those of you who are parents in the room, that resonates with you because you've got some tiny people who keep trying to run out in front of cars all the time. They love it. It's their favorite, right? And there's this thing in you, like I have to think of every possible scenario to protect them. There's a lot of husbands in the room that you think about your entire family that way. That I've got to sustain them. I've got to make enough money to take care of them. I've got these goals for our life. There's this standard of living I want my family to achieve. I'm going to dig deep and make that happen. You've got some moms in the room who are thinking, I've got to make everybody around me happy, not just in my family, but in my community spaces. It's all, I've got to take care of them and make sure they're all okay. There's college students in their room that are thinking not only of roommates, but the entirety of their community. I'm going to step into this and I'm going to try to take some things by the horns and I'm going to make things okay for people. A lot of of times when we operate like this, like we feel like we're the people who've got to be constantly vigilant. This is the way I think about things. This is the way I see the world. Like I'm going to be vigilant. I'm going to watch for every conceivable thing that can go wrong. And then I'm going to fix it. So you spend a lot of time lying in bed at night, thoughts racing, making sure you got everything covered. Now, some of you, that doesn't resonate with you at all, but some of you it does. Who watches us when we sleep? Who keeps us when we sleep? Who can see those things coming that haven't come yet? Who has the power to actually affect change in the areas of your life that you're anxious over, stressed out over, that you're, going crazy about, that you can't do anything about? Who actually can? Who can be trusted? The psalmist reminds us like that God doesn't take off days. That he takes the night shift and he also takes the day shift. He doesn't take a break. He doesn't lose focus on his people. Like he's actively at work in ways that you can't work. He's perfectly vigilant. He watches your steps. He watches our sleep. He watches our kids. He watches our what ifs. He's always engaged. He keeps me. He keeps us. He doesn't fall asleep and let me slip. It reminds me when Elijah was mocking the 400 prophets of Baal. One of the times he's just messing with them, right? One time he says, maybe he's sleeping. Yell a little louder. You got to wake him up. Like, yell a little louder. You got to get him up. He just taking a nap, Sunday afternoon nap. Come on, let's go. And they did. They're like yelling louder. They're trying to wake up their guy. Our God doesn't sleep, doesn't slumber, doesn't lose focus. That doesn't mean that life's going to be perfect or without its stumbles and falls, not without its tragedies. But it is that in these seasons of trouble, there is one who can be trusted. There is one who has power to change. There is one who has power to sustain. And without him, it's just you. And I know that you may, like if you're a Christian, you know that's true about him, but practically, like how is that playing out? Are you leaning into that? Are you trusting? What is the evidence of your like prayer life that says I'm actually trusting in him? What's the evidence of like your schedule that I'm actually trusting in him? I'm gonna leave some space. I'm not gonna try to work every single moment of every single day to try to achieve a little bit more. Like I'm gonna leave space to just be with him. I'm going to talk about your giving and your generosity towards those that are around you. Like, does it show that you're just kind of hoarding it up to take care of yourself, or you're trusting him to take care of you as you're generously giving to those around you? Psalm 46, different psalm, 1 through 3 says it like this. It says, God is our refuge and he's our strength. He's a very present help in times of trouble. Says this, says, therefore, we will not fear, even though the earth gives way. Though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. It's like, when the whole world is in upheaval, it says this, we will not fear, because God's our refuge and strength. When the earth gives way, there is only one who can be trusted, and it's not me, and it's not you. Verse 5 and 6 and 121, the psalmist continues, says this, says, the Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. It says this, the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. He picks up a whole different metaphor. He switches, all right? Talks about the sun like bearing down on you. So we have, it's hot here. This is the hottest place on earth in some ways. But we have like that humid kind of heat, you know? It can be cloudy and like 81, but the heat index is 114 somehow. Like, I don't know how this is the hottest place on earth. If you're from somewhere else and you want to challenge me on that, you're wrong. Okay, so I've lived in Texas and it's 115 outside, but it's that dry heat. It's different. But last year we were in Israel and we were up on this ridge thing. It's this flat platform by the Dead Sea. It's like one of the lowest points on earth, and I think it was 121 degrees outside. Okay, and it's not humid. But there, the sun is like a laser or something, like one of those YouTube lasers that can like burn through paper. It's like that, all right, all the time. And so we're standing up there. I'm like, I'm literally frying right now. This is what's happening. And so we're on this tour and we're trying to be polite and listen. I don't know anything about this place where we were at. Okay, I don't know. I don't even know where I was. I just know that there was laser beam sunlight and I was trying to find some shade. And so like there'll be a pole or something. I'm like standing in the shade of the pole. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit better. And it helped. It helped, right? Like a 3-inch slice of shade changes things. People are like huddled against walls and stuff. You know, it's like we're in a war zone, but we're fighting against the sun and he's winning, you know? So that's the way that's like, think about that. Like, that's the kind of, when the writer's writing about the shade, it's not like Alabama shade. Alabama shade helps, but it's still like sweat human underneath the trees, okay? But in that kind of sun, and you get under a little bit of shade, and it changes everything. It's like the heat turns off. We were doing this one hike, and we got back to this pavilion, and we got to sit under the shade, and it just felt glorious, like the sun had turned off for a second. You know, the thing about shade changes everything, but you do have to move into the shade, you know? The shade's not going to chase you down. The shade's there, and the shade will change everything, but until you go have the wisdom and the wherewithal, the effort, the choice to go get in the shade, it's not going to have any effect. It says the Lord is our shade. He's a shade on our right hand. And the protector says the sun shall not strike you by day, the moon by night. It says that means the evil of day, the evil of night. Nothing, like he's just going to be the protector, the one you're leaning on, trusting on. Like, you got to decide to get out of the shade. I have a bad habit of not getting out of the shade. I have a tendency to think that where productivity lies and where I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to get out from under the shade. I'm supposed to work really, really hard and push really, really hard, and we'll do all these things out in the shade. And then every once in a while, I'm going to come get back in the shade and rest for a minute and cool off. I'm going to run back out of it and go get a bunch of stuff done. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to dig deep. And I'm going to come back with the Lord. I'm going to rest for a minute and try to recharge, okay? And then I'm back out here in the sun. I don't think I'm ever supposed to leave the shade. Well, in this sabbatical season, and like thinking about that, like, my work is not supposed to be out from under the protection and the covering of the Lord. That's a choice I'm making to go step out and do things that are on my own, in my own strength. I don't think I'm ever supposed to leave the shade. Some of us in the room, like, you've never entered the shade. Like, you're out there on your own. You've always been out there, and you're exhausted. You're wearing thin in life because you're supposed to be under the shade of the protection, the goodness of the Lord, and you're just running around on your own. I end up exhausting myself, stressing about things that honestly only God can do anything about. And so do you. Now, yeah, God has called us to faithfully work in the things he's called us to do, but not in a way where we find ourselves depending on our efforts. That's not the plan here. I'm working in dependency of the one who can change things. He's the one who keeps us. He's the one who's invited us to live in the shadow of his wings, to rest in his goodness, to get out of the sun of striving and just find my rest and peace in him. Now, have you been out in the sun on your own, or have you been actively, like intentionally choosing to draw near, rest in the shade of the goodness of God? Where are you spending your time? If you came in exhausted, worn out, and stressed out, I'm going to tell you, you've been out in the sun, all right? And so there's this point of having to choose to get into the covering of the Lord and just rest in him. Work, right? Like, do the things you got to do, all right? But you're still working in a way that you're dependent upon him. You're like shaded by him under his goodness. Last stanza of this, the author says this. It says, the Lord will keep you from all evil. He'll keep your life. It says, the Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. The going out and the coming in, it means every moment of life. It's a summation of all of it. What he's saying is, like, the Lord, he will keep you. He is willing to keep you. But the shade's not going to chase you, all right? He's willing to keep you. He will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. He will keep you, your going out and your coming in from now and forevermore. He is willing to do that if you will let him. Because when it comes to like your life and your path and the things that you have today and forevermore, when it comes to your eternity, right, only one of you can keep it. It says he will keep it. He will protect it. He will guard it. He will entrust it for this life and for the eternity to come. Like, he will keep it, but both of us can't keep it, all right? Like, I can't hang on to it like, Monday through Friday, and then like Saturday, whatever, and then Sunday he can have it, and then I take it back on Monday morning. That's not the way this works. Either I'm going to keep it or he's going to keep it. Who's keeping you? Who has control of your life? Who's got control of your eternity? Whose hands have you placed it in? Because I think, when I think about it practically, I might say that Jesus has control of my days. When it comes to the practical implications of that and thinking about the way that I live some of them out, like remembering some of them, I'm holding on to these things pretty tight. Only one of us can keep it. Who's keeping you? Who's keeping your life? Who are you trusting with your life to ensure all of it? Who are you trusting for your eternity? Jesus picks up the same idea in his prayer for his followers in John 17:9. It says, Jesus prays this. He says, I'm praying for them. People like us. He says, I'm praying for them. I'm not praying for the world. I'm praying for those whom you have given me, for they're yours. Jesus is emphatic about that, like those who have trusted him. He's like, I'm praying for those who are going to believe on me, like, trust me. I'm praying for them. All of mine are yours, and yours are mine. I'm glorified in them. This, in verse 11, he says, I'm no longer in the world, but they're going to be in the world. They're still going to be in this mess. They're still going to be doing all this crazy, and they're bearing all these things. They're in the world, and I'm coming to you. And he says this, Holy Father, keep them. Keep them in your name, which you've given me, that they may be one even as we are one. He's like, God, just keep them. Hang on to their life. Hang on to their eternity. Like, God, keep them. But what happens for a lot of us is we say, no, we don't want him to keep it. I want to keep it. I'm going to keep control of it. I want to direct the path. I want to direct the checkbook. I want to direct the eternity. I want to do this the way I want to do it. I'm going to keep it. And Jesus is over here praying, God, just let them see the lack of wisdom in that. Keep them. Who's holding your life? Who are you trusting in? Like, if you're not a Christian yet, we've talked about this, you're trusting in yourself, and you know how well that works out. If you're a Christian already, I know you mentally agree with this, right? But who are you practically trusting in? As evidenced by things like your prayer life and your schedule and your giving, who are you practically trusting in? Like I said, I get this wrong a lot. I think many of us do. But when I come back, I'm reminded of Paul's words in Romans 8:38. He says, for I'm sure that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. When he keeps you, when you give him your life, nothing can separate you from him. Are you trusting him? Are you letting him keep you? God, who created heaven and earth, loved you enough to send his son to die for you. And when you come to a point that you're willing to trust him with your life, if you're not a Christian, you trust him with your life, you give control over for your life now and your eternity to come, he will keep you, and nothing can separate you from him. Not the things that you're facing now, not the things that you're going to face in 20 years. Nothing can keep you from him. He keeps you. Now, Christians in the room, we know that. But we have a tendency of getting this lie in our minds where, okay, I've got to rush out of the shade a little bit. I'm going to go handle some things on my own, and I'm going to come back. That's not the way this was intended to be. So if you've been out in the sun, you're a little bit exhausted, a little bit tired, a little fearful, a little stressed out, I just wanted to give you some moments just to come back to the shade. Remember where your hope comes from. Remember where your peace comes from, where goodness comes from, because I don't want anything in heaven on earth to separate me from the goodness and mercy and grace of the Lord. So I want to give you some time to respond. Our band's going to be coming in just a second, and as they come, I just want you to have some time to think and pray. If you're not a Christian yet, I just want you to think about, who am I trusting with my life? And because it's you, right? And are you really willing to do that? If you're not a Christian yet, listen to me. I know people are moving around. Just listen to me here. There's in a very real sense, there's this opportunity for you to step into the shade of the love of Jesus Christ this morning. And you've been out there on your own this entire time, but you don't have to stay there. So here's the gospel. Here's the good news that all the rest of the Christians in the room have trusted, that I needed him. I needed a Savior, that my sin was more than I could deal with, that I can't keep my life, and I definitely can't keep my eternity. That my sin had separated from this good and perfect and loving God, so he came for me. He sent his son to get in between me and the punishment that I'd earned, to rescue me, so that I could be reconciled back to him, so that I could come back, I'd step into the shade once again. He's offered that as a gift. He died on the cross. He rose from the grave 3 days later, proving that he was more than just some guy. He's made a way for me to come back and be reconciled to God so I can be saved. I can find rest in him. I can trust him. If you're here this morning and you're not a Christian yet, that's the opportunity set before you. Like, shade changes everything, but you got to step into the shade. So in just a moment when our band leads, out there in the lobby, there's going to be some people that are ready just to talk with you. They want to help. They want to pray. They want to answer questions. They're going to be out there, and that's our prayer team. So I want to invite you to go slip out, find somebody out there and say, hey, what would it look like for me to figure out if this guy can be trusted? Some of you are ready to trust him. Like, hey, go out there and be like, hey, I'm ready to trust him. Let's go. Let's do this. So one of the fun things about Oaks is that this is a place where people that aren't believers yet can find answers and find salvation in the person of Jesus Christ. But a lot of us here in the room, you're a Christian already, and yeah, you know he's trustworthy. You just keep rushing out there on your own, like me. So these past few weeks, I spent a lot of time repenting of that. Spent a lot of time repenting of some self-sufficiency, a little bit of arrogance, right? Thinking I can do it. So I just want to give you a few moments just to set some of those things down. Draw near to the Lord, his goodness and his love and his mercy. Just step back in the shade, all right? So I want to pray for you. I'm going to give you some time to respond. Our band leads. Next Steps is open for you at any time about anything going on in your life. Those people back there in the lobby would love to pray with you, okay? So you can slip out at any time and go talk with them, okay? So I want to pray for you, and you just respond how you need to. Let's pray. God, grateful for the time to get to be with us, our church family this morning. I know that for all of us from time to time, those of us who are Christians, we find ourselves stepping out of the shade, depending on ourselves for all kind of things, and working like it all depends on us. God, this morning we confess that we know it doesn't, but sometimes it's just hard to trust you. So God, help us to repent of those things and set some of that down. Draw near to you again. Remind us that you are trustworthy by your Spirit. For my friends in the room who aren't Christians yet, who are wrestling with this, that whether they can draw near, if they want to trust you, if they want to be saved, if they want to put their hope and trust in Jesus, they've got questions about that. They got a lot of things on their mind about that. And I pray this morning that you give them the boldness to ask the questions that are on their heart, to take one step closer to you, one step closer to the shade. God, move this time. We love you. It's your son's name.